What's up, YouTube? It is Jay here, your accountability coach and ghetto psychologist. So, I'm going to talk about human existence. It's a really deep and touchy subject, and like in many of my videos when I begin this conversation, which really is ultimately me talking to y'all and your mind responding. Maybe you respond in the comments, but either way, the response is going to start in your head. As we have this conversation, please consider a couple of things, okay? I have to always make this kind of disclaimer. My beliefs are my beliefs. Just because I hold a different belief system than you do does not mean that my beliefs are not valuable. Just because I hold a different belief system than you do does not make it a threat to your belief system. And your belief system should not be tied to your whole identity. Meaning that, yeah, your belief system will form your identity to some extent. However, your belief system should not be deadlocked. Like, it should not fully dictate who you are and who you will always be in this life. So, what I mean by that is sometimes people, again, they liken their identity to their belief system. So when somebody has a different belief system or they challenge that person's belief system, they view it as an attack to their identity. And this is one of the things that we don't talk a lot about, especially in the spiritual space, because your belief system being tied to your identity is still a worldly construct. I think we don't really consider a lot of the things that are really worldly. Like, I'm using the Christian word worldly because we always say, hey, we want to do away with the worldly things. We want to do away with the desires of the flesh, right? So this is all related to what goes on in the 3D realm, this earthly realm. So when you are attaching yourself to your belief system, that is also a worldly aspect, which is why I always will make the argument that religion is very worldly. I'm one of the only people I ever hear. I've actually never heard anybody say it. I'm not saying other people haven't said it before, but I never have heard anybody besides me call religion a worldly thing. Because see, what happens is people will start, again, like I said, thinking that I'm attacking them because I attacked their belief system. But I'm just attacking the belief system. I'm not attacking you as a person. You could very well be one of the best people on this planet, but because you follow Christ, because you follow Muhammad, because you follow whoever, I can tell that you are limiting yourself based on the basis of religion. And religion is a man-made concept. No matter how you think about it, you got this concept from a man. So there goes a thing where, in the statement that we all say that your religion should your relationship with God should always dictate any precedence. But a lot of people don't know how to get connected to God. Even the people who are clergymen to the highest degree, some of them are not really all the way connected to God. And I'm not finna act like I'm a better person than somebody, but I do feel like I'm one of the people who really is highly connected to God in such a way that it's almost unfathomable. I tell people everything I pray for, I get. I can't remember a prayer that I haven't received. I just don't be ready for it. I fuck up my own blessings. It be me. But moving forward, because I feel like I'm in a preaching spirit. I'm just letting God use me. I don't even know where I'm going with this conversation, for real. I just know I wanted to talk about spiritual essence and spiritual things and reincarnation and heaven and hell and concepts of existence. You know, that's what I want to talk about today. So I want to challenge some belief systems, right? But again, I want to lead with this. I don't know anything, just like you don't. We're all in this together. We're all trying to figure out God in our own way. Some of us do have a great relationship with our Creator, but that doesn't mean we fully know everything. And we know that to have a good relationship with God is to know you don't know everything, and you won't, especially not while you're alive. We might figure it out on the other side. So let's dig in here. Okay. I think I spoke on some concepts before. I can't really remember. I have to go back and rewatch that video. So I might be restating some things I've said before. I don't have a lot of time to say everything that I want to say, but I'm going to make it work. I don't want to keep you too long, but I might go ahead and extend this. Who knows? It might go on for longer than 30 minutes because I know I can get winded. It's the need for public speaker in me, the need to express after so many years of suppression. So let's dig in again. All right. So I think I talked about the concepts of why some atheists are atheists. Right. I think I didn't say this. I said at one point that atheists are atheists because they're mad at God. But on the flip side, there are some people who they might not even be mad at God, but they can't fathom there being something bigger. It can be one or two things or both. They can't fathom that there's something bigger because they are so analytical, so logic based that you can't understand God in its entirety. Nobody can, because it'll always pose a question of, well, who created this? Who created that? Who created that? Right? Because I always say this. You, as an atheist, if you're watching this or just in general, a lot of times y'all base your beliefs on science. But science still bases that there is an inexplicable phenomenon out here. And a lot of us know that if you can't explain it, then we can say it's God. Because it has to be something that you can't fathom in your head. But whatever that blockage is, again, that I say all the time, there's a block there. It could be, again, the block could be just you mad at God, you have some trauma, some church hurt, or maybe something happened in your life, or maybe you're just so upset with the state of the world that you decide there's no way that God can exist. So you're upset and you're just like, fuck it, I don't want to believe. And you have every right to not believe in anything. But some of us know God exists. And I just get upset when y'all challenge that. It's just as much upset as I do with Christians who challenge the fact that I don't want to be a Christian. Anywho, so again, moving forward, existence. So we all signed a contract before we got here in this earthly form. It could have been millions of years ago. It could have been billions of years ago. It could have been hundreds of thousands of years ago. Your soul is old as fuck. Hope you know that. Your soul is old as fuck. Your soul has been here since the conception of time. And time is an illusion. It's always been here. It's never an end, and it's never been a beginning. So I know that's hard to wrap your mind around too. I try to think about that, and that shit hurts. But we all have been here. We've all been here, y'all. We still are here even when we die. We are here. Wherever the here is, it might be different here's, but it's still here. when you understand quantum physics, when you understand all the science, if we're going to talk about science, when you understand how all of these realms, all of these dimensions, however you want to call them, are all existing simultaneously in different planes. And the timeline can be different just based off where the dimension is. You get to really realize that all of this shit is nothing is old, nothing is new. It's all the same. Now, that's not to say you're living the same life over and over again. You might, though, in different bodies. If we think about even like the Matrix and shit, right? The Matrix is very akin to what's going on when you are in your body in this physical plane on this earth, this 3D realm. You are stepping into the Matrix. You're stepping into a system of systems. Shit, even your body is a system. So you're stepping into all of these different systems, and you have to comply by the system. And what happens in that compliance is you get sucked into the conditions of the world. So we forget that we've been here all this time. We forget that our soul is really who we are, but this body is borrowed. It's on borrowed time. It's just the experience of humanity. It's our time to experience what it's like to be human. What it's like to be this high intelligence animal. Because we're still a fucking animal. Meaning that when you're an animal, that means that you are susceptible to multiple different types of behaviors that are somewhat involuntary and uncontrollable. Even you breathing, and you can't even control that. You can try to stop breathing, and guess what? You're going to pass out and start breathing again. That's not to say you can't take yourself out of here. We know that you can do that. But I'm just saying there's very uncontrollable aspects to us being here on this realm as a human, in this animal body, in this flesh. So you're here, right? We're all here. The concept of heaven and hell is that something that really exists in the different realm, in the spiritual realm. Is that something that will happen, and we live one life and we just perish and go to heaven or hell? Do we really believe that? No, I don't believe it. I can't believe that we just get one life and our soul is this old and then we're just going to spend. So, okay, riddle me this. We come into conception, our soul is conceived some kind of way. Okay, let's say we just poof, God said, here's a soul. Even though energy cannot be destroyed nor created, it's all just here. So he recycled some shit and just made a new soul out of, I don't know. So you got this new soul out of all the old soul stuff. And you come to earth one time. Just one time for 70, 80, no more than 100 years. But earth been here 4.5 billion years, or so they say. So you come and you just get a little smudge of that one time to make it right. You don't make it right. So you just go to hell. I don't know. It's kind of funny. I hate to laugh because I'm not trying to laugh if you believe in it. If you believe in it, you believe in it. But it's funny though when you think about it, because it's like, y'all really believe that? I don't believe that. The reason I don't believe that on a personal note is I've had my own experiences of visions of past life situations. So I know that this is not my only life. So I believe in reincarnation. I don't believe in heaven and hell. I believe in reincarnation. I believe that we are going to be on this earthly realm a series of different times. Some of us have been here a long time. I feel like I've been here a long time. That's why this life, I am dedicated to getting it right. I'm dedicated to delivering this messages. Even now, in this time, in 2025, January 24, 2025, I might get a few views on this video in this year, this day, this moment. But there's going to be a day where thousands, our eyes are going to see things that I say. And all I'm going to do is probably repeat some of the things that you're seeing in this video if you're lucky to see it now. That's how manifestation works. But I just don't believe, y'all, that God really just sent us here one time. And we're supposed to get it right that one time. And if we don't, we go to hell. I just don't believe that. I believe that heaven and hell are earthly realm concepts that you can only experience in life. So imagine the times that some of us may have came, just it's a theory, some of us may have been animals before in a past life, right? Animals, yeah, they have consciousness, but they also operate a lot more involuntarily than humans do. Everything is much more instinctual for them. Of course, they have emotions, they have feelings. Yes, they do. That's why I said they do have consciousness. But of course, we are higher intelligence, higher level conscious beings. That's why we're able to destroy so easily. And that's why we're able to create so many great things. Right? We're very powerful. And I don't think humans understand the power. We have dominion over everything on this earth. We are the closest form to God. Okay? Seriously. Because of the power that we have over earth. But don't think that at any moment we are more powerful than earth. Because earth will still be here and we will be gone. Okay? But that's another topic. So think about the lives that you might have spent as a involuntary being. Doesn't sound like it was great to be an animal. I don't think it's great to be an animal, especially depending on what type of animal you were. If you were the hunter or the hunted, either way, they have hard lives, okay? So if we did spend our time as an animal, I'm glad that we can't remember it. That would have been the hell. That's one concept of hell, right? This is me, okay? Again, I'm going down the rabbit hole. Now let's say we come to this life and we're a human. My deepest form, in theory, I should say, of hell on earth is to be bound to an earthly body, and that earthly body has the urge to be a sexual deviant or someone violent like a sociopath or a psychopath. Now, a lot of us are still in bodies that have mental health issues that are more prone to certain things just because that's the body that we were born into. But we have the ability to spiritually and mentally elevate past what our body ability is. This is why you'll be amazed by people who maybe they're missing arms or maybe they're missing legs, but they adapt and they do things that in your mind you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. This woman can feed herself with her feet. You know, I've seen things like that and everybody's just so amazed. You know, if you ever watch the Paralympics, it's amazing watching people who are born into bodies who have disabilities and they are able to do what your able body ass can't do. So again, this is what I'm talking about. We got to pay attention to these things, and we don't really emphasize them the way that we should. We have power when we disconnect yet still fully connect to our earthly self. The whole purpose of your existence, when you came here, all of us have a general purpose. Now, we have a general purpose and we have an individual purpose. But the general purpose is that we are trying to reach ascension on her earth. We're trying to be as much Christ-like as possible. And we got to consider the fact that Christ, he ascended in his earthly form, meaning that when he passed on that third day, when he rose, he took his body with him. You're supposed to be that. True T, nobody says this enough. That is what you are supposed to be trying to do while you're here. That is the metaphor, so to speak. So your ascension on earth is going to be based on how well you can integrate your mind, body, and spirit while in this earthly form. So the hell on earth happens when people go through certain traumas and then now they are completely disconnected from their spiritual self. They're completely disconnected from their soul. Their mind can barely tap into to imagination, to seeing a field of life that's better than what it is. Their bodies and their souls are completely disconnected. So think of Get Out, right? You remember how old boy was floating into the abyss? That's how their soul looks in their bodies. Just grasping, can't really connect to the body, can't connect to that mind and be like, hey man, we shouldn't be doing this. This is where you get these sociopaths and these sexual deviants who can't really control themselves. They have to kill, they have to hurt, they have to harm. They can't control that urge because the trauma, and this is documented, people who are like this, who cause the most trauma, went through the most trauma. Now all of us are going through trauma. Some of us respond in certain ways and some of us don't. But some of us have dealt with some of the most heinous things that we can't even think about. We can't even imagine living like that every day. Can you imagine your parents abusing you every day? You break. And when you break, your spirit disconnects from your body. Now your spirit is still in your body, but it's disconnected. It's floating in the abyss. Trapped. That is hell. This is why you have to pray for people's souls. Pray for people's souls, not their body, not who they are. Pray for their soul, because their soul is trapped, not lost. Well, you can't say lost, but they know where they are. They just floating in the abyss, just waiting for this life to be over so they can be freed. Do you understand? This is why, honestly, this is really what I'm about to say is really controversial. Some people do need to just die because they can't free their soul. They're going to just be trapped for the rest of their life on this planet. So they're going to be leaving a trail of bodies or a trail of emotionally and mentally abused people in their trail. That is hell. Can you imagine being in that body? Being a soul in that body? And even with us normal, well, normie, more normal, I should say, because I don't know what the fuck normal is. No, I'm not normal, but the people who are not like that, I should say, even with us, we have our own concepts of hell on this earth. Some of us have really already experienced a touch of it. A taste of it. That feeling of I can't do this. I'm trapped in a relationship, a toxic relationship. I know it's harmful, but I can't get away from this person. We've been there. That's hell. That is a taste of hell. Or, oh my God, I know better. I know I could be this, I don't know, maybe I have this potential to be so much greater than what I am. I know it. I've seen it. God has told me. And yet I can't get out of my own fucking way. That is a taste of hell. The procrastination. The hatred. The hatred of your fellow man. Come on, y'all. We really got to talk about this shit here. The hatred of your fellow man. Because they look different than you. Because they act different than you. Because they decide to live a different lifestyle than you. because they believe in something differently than you. That is hell. You don't understand the hell that is when you are somebody who's not like that. When you really, someone like me who, honestly, I just look at people and I love everything about being here. I love everything about being alive. I love everything about it. Even the things that I hate. I love it. I love everything about being a human. I love everything about this experience. But I simultaneously hate it too. I do. And that's the hell. The hell also comes from, my hatred really is stemming from other people. It's not even the experience. It's the people who make the experience bad. But that comes along with it. So for me, in order for me to ascend, I have to be willing to accept that this is the world that we was born into. This is the life that we chose ultimately. Because we did make. Alright, so the last topic we left off on was people being stuck inside their earthly forms, right? Basically, like I said, when you get disconnected from your soul because some traumatic event or events, likely a lot of times is more than one, it is incessant abuse, the makings of a serial killer, basically, because serial killers are made. I don't believe that evil, this is a good segue, I don't believe that evil is typically just born into this world. I think it's created. Now, that's not to say there's not any outliers to what I'm saying, that there's not people who may be born evil. I do believe that anything is possible. But I do not believe that most evil people, or what we define to be is evil beings, I don't believe that they were just born. I believe they're created. I believe they're created by other humans. And this is a segue into the whole thing and the hatred of Satan, right? Especially Christian people, we love to, I don't know why I said we, well, I guess we, because it used to be me. We love to, the devil, it ain't nothing but the devil. Satan this and Satan that. Satan is always the culprit. Satan is always the fall guy. But what if Satan is just the Trojan horse to distract you from the evil that humanity just inherently has? What if Satan is the Trojan horse, or the distraction for the fact that the God that we love and we serve, and I do love and serve God, but it is to take the accountability off the fact that God created the devil. God created all things, including evil. If that fact takes away from your love of our Creator, then you are not the unconditional love that the God wants you to have. You don't have it. You're not it. And that is where, like I said earlier, the whole concept of atheism was born from. We have to be real. The concept, to me, and this is me, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't did no research on the concepts of atheism. I don't look at it as an organized group, right? But if we really study the concepts of atheism, most atheists are angry with the state of existence and they blame God for it. And in their blame, hold on before I get to the or part, in their blame of God, they decide not to believe in God out of spite. And I know a lot of atheists would not like me to say that because it looks weird and petty, but I mean, that's how that's how I define it as a psychologist, from my expert opinion. Just in case y'all were wondering, because I didn't post this on YouTube. I want to post this everywhere so people know I'm not a liar when I say your girl is an expert. I am in the field of psychology. That means I study psychology. That means I study human minds. More in case I do study the minds of school-aged children. But that does not mean that school-aged children don't grow up to be adults. And that's just the study of my tenure. That's not what I've been studying throughout my entire life with my interest in psychology. Anywho, that was not to brag. That's just to say it's my expert opinion. That's the psychology behind some things. Now I got a little off kilter because now the neurodiversion in me is popping out, being all over the place. So okay, let's get back centered. So atheists, like I said, the mindset and I think the concept came from just the anger with God. Everybody has a relationship with God, whether they know it or not, whether they acknowledge it or not. And atheists just decide, hey, I want to abandon this relationship because I don't like the world that I was born into. It's the resentment. And that's cool. God still loves you. Because you are God in your own right. An extension. And if you love yourself, you still love God. So those people who decide that they don't want to believe. Or you have the people, and I think I said this in the earlier part of the video, the people who are upset. And then you have the people who just can't fathom God being a real thing. Because how you can't explain God, but they rely on science, and science still can't explain human existence, and not in a way that makes sense, and y'all know that. So anywho, back to this whole concept of the devil being a Trojan horse, and for people to not realize that God is all things, even the good, even the bad. We always emphasize that God is good, but God is also bad. In your guys' terms, we try to take the onus and the accountability off of God. This terrible situation that I'm in, God allowed it. I hope y'all don't hear them kids back there. God allowed it. Anywho, God allowed that too. But yes, if you hear that, I'm sorry, you might not even hear it. I'm gonna try to edit it out. But anywho, I'm gonna keep this part in because for real sake. But so God allowed it. God allowed these things to happen to you, and that's why we have to start redefining what's good and bad too. Like in the deepest forms, because everything that's bad that happened to you wasn't all bad. Something good something good likely happened because of that bad occurrence. It's just up to you to be able to see it, to open up your perspectives. And vice versa, when something good happened to you. Like I use children all the time. We think children are the biggest blessing. Some of us really do believe that, and that's fine if you do. But we have to also take into account the pros. Not only the pros, but the cons of parenthood. The things you sacrifice, the pain, the trauma. Because parenting can be traumatic. So that beautiful blessing that you got in the form of a human being that was born with your flesh, your DNA, your likeness, your physical attributes, some of your personality traits. That person, as big as a blessing as they are to you, can also cause you a lot of trauma. That is an example of why yin and yang, duality, good and bad, all of those things exist for a reason, and they work with one another. And when you start, like I said, especially if you are an atheist person, and I'm not here to tell anybody they gotta believe in God. I always say just believe in yourself, because because we don't know that God. I know that God is real, but some of us haven't had that experience of knowing. So if you haven't had that experience, I just tell you, hey, rely on the belief of self. If you are an atheist, don't come around here telling me God ain't real, but you have a right not to believe in God. Just rely on your belief of self, because you know that you're real. You know you're having this experience. So believe in you. But also, you're a human and know what you are and are not capable of. In those areas where you're not capable of, a lot of times God has to intercede. Or something, some divine something. And you got to know that. Even if you just say it's the universe. If you say you praise the universe, you still believe in God. You just change the terminology. Anyway. So yes, Satan to me is not an evil being. Satan is a misunderstood being. Satan is much like Jesus, right? Wanting, on one end you have someone who was born into a life of servitude to God completely with no free will, who just wanted a little bit of free reign, wanted to be able to do what humans could do. He was jealous. I can understand why. So in a response, Satan acted out just like many of God's children do, and he was casted out, and he was appointed to punish those who do wrong. That was his job. Satan, yeah, you can say that Satan was here. He wants more people to punish. If that's the way you're gonna paint the picture, but a lot of people they move on their own accord, free will. Yet again, if you're goofy enough to fall for Satan's tricks, if this is the Satan we're going to talk about, that is still your fault. The accountability is still on you. Again, we use Satan as the scapegoat, the Trojan horse. If you was really smart enough, you wouldn't go that route. If you was locked in with God enough, you wouldn't go that route. It still falls on you. It all does. Even the things that we are trying to blame God for, a lot of times they still fall on humanity. And I guess because God created humans, we're just going to be mad at God. I'm mad at humans. I ain't mad at God. God created us and stepped back. That's what free will means. Free will is hands-off parenting. I'm here only when you ask for help. And sometimes, depending on what you're trying to ask for help in, I might not help you the way you think that you want to be helped. That is hands-off parenting. And that's what we need to think of God as, a hands-off parent. Just watching. Interceding only in certain moments when you ask. Some of us get more interception than others. Just depends, right? So let's see what other theories I want to talk about. Let's just talk about how religion came about. And I think I talked about this before, but again, I said at the top of this that I might recite some things I already said. But religion came about and it ruined our connection to God in some ways. And the way that it ruined our connection to God is because it became an overemphasis of rules instead of behaviors that we are supposed to subscribe to be worthy of God's love. And that is bullshit. That is how religion is taught to us. Even though the Bible still also says something totally different than what a lot of preachers try to teach us. The Bible says God is going to accept us as we are. As long as we seek him, we will be found. Now, sometimes naturally, I have to say in my own life, naturally, the closer I got to God, the less I indulge in certain behaviors and certain things. That you just ain't gonna see me do a lot of certain shit anymore that I used to do. It's just a natural thing, you know. And then there's, you know, growth and maturity, healing, and all of those things in between. But the rules that are set upon us by other people who claim that they came from God, the rules on how to express our sexuality, the shaming and taboo that we have made sexuality be, which is very, very strange to me, that we have decided that sex is something bad when sex is why we're here. Sex is part of our identity. It really is. It's a part of us. You can try to disconnect from your sexuality, and that is when the problems start. You have to be able to accept all parts of yourself, and that includes the fact that you as a human being is a sexual being. You are sexual. And if you're the one of the small group of people that's asexual, you still have to accept that in a world that tells you that you should be having sex. You know, it taught us to shame our sexuality. It taught us if you have a different sexual orientation that you're not worthy. It's what religion is teaching us. Religion is teaching us to base our worthiness on how well we follow a set of guidelines and rules, when God is not. That's not. God gave us free will, so y'all have to realize that is the underlying premise of our existence, is free will. So God is going to be able to see if we want to be good because we're good, or if we want to be good for a reward, or if we are pretending. That's how free will works. You can't hide from God no matter what you can try to hide from your fellow man, and you might get away with it for a little while. It all comes out somehow, but you cannot hide from God. Can't. So we are looking at each other, looking at how different we are, and we're deciding to separate ourselves based on those differences. That is what religion did to us. Religion destroyed our connection to other humans, and our connections to other humans. Now, your connection with God is more important than your connection to other humans, but your connection to other humans is second to your connection with God, because God is in all of us, moving through all of us. And if you can't connect to what God created, the direct descendant, what makes you worthy? You deciding, hey, I don't want to be connected to this person because they like the same gender. God don't give a fuck. All he sees is you just don't want to be connected to. You don't want to unconditionally love your neighbor. You don't want to love your brother and your sister in Christ. Because a lot of y'all be Christians. You don't want to love them because of their difference. But I'm telling you, you should. But you don't want to do that. Because on one end, I'm telling you, in this book, I'm telling you, you should love everybody and accept them as they are. On the other hand, I'm telling you, hey, it's an abomination to be gay. Y'all don't know which side to follow. No wonder y'all be confused. But you're supposed to love these people. And condemnation is not a part of love. Shame is not a part of love. So shaming people for their sexuality is not of God, because it does not mirror behavior that is unconditional love. Damn, I gotta fix that. I think I'm gonna end on that note though. It's getting a little heavy in here. There's so much more I could be talking about. I don't know, did I mention that? I might have mentioned that in another video. Just the whole concept of reincarnation and how you may have came or been in the past life another gender, and why you might come to this new life and be bisexual or fluid or trans. But I think I already talked about that. I don't want to go too far much further. I got some other things I got to do, but it's been real. Please like, subscribe, share this video if you've gotten this far and you dig what I'm saying. Drop a comment and all that stuff. Love.